Okay, so let's try and understand a few basics as far as business analysis is concerned. So we'll be looking at software development from the scratch. We'll try and relate it to something which is non-software development so that you can understand it even better. So we'll start first by understanding what is business analysis. Because we are doing this course on business analysis, it's important for you to get the understanding on what is business analysis. If you look at the IIBA definition, so IIBA is the International Institute of Business Analysis based out of Canada. They define business analysis as the practice of enabling change in an organizational context by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. There are a lot of keywords which are included in the definition, and at first glance you may find it very difficult to understand as to what is business analysis. But let's try to break it down into smaller parts and understand it. So these are the 6 terms which has been used in the definition: needs, value, context, solution, stakeholders, and change. Let's try and understand what are these. Let's start with needs. Every initiative in an organization will start because the organization needs to resolve or address a particular problem, or they want to use an opportunity to expand their business. So for example, if there is a new possibility of tapping into a new area of business, for example, e-commerce for, let's say, medicines. You have e-commerce for everything. Portals are available for everything, right? Garments to household items to vegetables. Medicines is relatively new area. So an organization may need to tap that opportunity and build a portal. That's a need. Or their existing process is facing a bit of a problem. Customers are not happy with that area of service. So they need to optimize it, or they need to address and find the problem, whichever is there in that service. These are the needs, examples of needs. So once an organization need to do something, they'll start looking at how do we solve it. So there are 2 alternatives. There are 2 options basically. One, either they have some alternative in the organization which is available to handle it, or they need to invest into a new solution. Why would somebody need to invest in something? Because they can see that there is a value in the future. Whatever they're investing, they are going to get more than this, or at least they will not lose this money. That's how everything is seen from the value perspective. So if there is a need and there is a value, company will decide to go ahead with it. And they will go ahead with what? They will go ahead with the solution. Okay. So an organization will need to invest in a solution so that they can get some value out of it. This solution could be anything. It could be a software solution. It could be something else, but that is immaterial. But as far as customer is concerned, based on what need to be addressed, there is sufficient value in the solution. That solution will be finalized. Now, in terms of which solution, one important aspect is the context. Right? For example, you are looking at implementing a financial accounting software in an organization. More or less, financial accounting functions are exactly the same. Everybody needs to generate balance sheet, P&L account, and cash flow statements. More or less, the requirements for a financial accounting system remains the same across the systems. But are all the organization using the same software? No. Why? Because one, the size of the organization is different. There are other factors relating to the organization which determine which of the softwares will work in this particular organization. There might be some processes which are specific to this particular organization. There will be approval mechanisms which will be different for a particular organization. Because of that, the solution differs from one organization to another organization. Otherwise, we would not need to have so many IT companies itself, right? One standard software, it works everywhere. So that is what is referred to as context. Every organization is different from the other. Their context is different. So the solution has to be customized based on the context. So customization is a word which I think Sagar Rao will be very familiar with because you are working on ERP. So in product sense, customization is something which is done on a product. So having understood these four terms, let's look at stakeholders. So once it has been decided that a particular solution is going to be implemented, now the exact requirements or the detail of the information needs to be captured from the customer so that the solution team can develop a software or a solution. For that, you need to talk to people so that you can get more information about what is required. So the people whom you are going to talk to are examples of stakeholders. They would be department heads, they could be managers in the customer organization. Whosoever you are needed to talk to get the requirements are known as stakeholders. Finally, change. What is a change? Once it has been decided that you are going to implement a solution, the organization where the solution is going to be implemented will undergo a change. Even though it may be a small process, but the people who have been working in a particular way now need to change the way they are working. That's the change we are talking about. So for every organization, if change is quite significant, then they need to prepare their employees for that change. Otherwise, they will resist. It's a normal human tendency that if we are implementing something new, people resist it for various reasons. It's a normal human tendency to resist, to come out of the comfort zone. I have been very comfortable in doing something the way I want it. But suddenly, you are asking me to do something different. I don't bother whether it's for the organization's betterment or not. My comfort level is going to be going for a toss, right? So change always brings some kind of uncomfortable situations in the organization. So it requires some preparation from the organization perspective, which also includes training the employees. Rao has mentioned this, that you need to train also the employees so that they can be ready for accepting that change. So business analysis as such, if you look at it, includes a lot of keywords. These are kind of concepts which you need to understand because they are going to be used frequently in the coming sessions. Okay. So overall, just to summarize, business analysis essentially deals with the objective of finding a solution to an organizational need and going ahead with it if the potential value is higher than the investment. Once it is decided that you are going ahead, the business analysis activities start. There is a period of transition where you are implementing the solution till the time you actually realize the potential value. That becomes actual value. So if the objective of a solution was to increase the customer turnaround time, how fast you respond to a customer, from 10 hours to 8 hours, for example, or 6 hours. That's a potential value. But if you're really able to achieve it, that's action value. Or whatever you achieve, whether it's 6 hours or 9 hours, that's the action value. So at the end of it, a business analyst also needs to look at, was that solution effective enough to resolve the problem as anticipated in the beginning? If not, do we need to do something about it? Whatever are the corrections required, that has to be done by the business analyst. So the range of activities for a business analyst is starting with finding the right solution, understanding what is to be done. So in the reverse order, first you need to understand what is to be done, then finding the right solution, then taking the organization through the transition period till the time they realize the actual value. Right? Now the question would be, how much of all these activities will be done by business analysts at the early stages of their career? Right? This is the full range of activities done by business analysts. As far as entry-level business analysts are concerned, you will primarily be involved with what part of business analysis. That means what is to be done. That's the requirements part. During the transition, generally the role of entry-level business analysts is the consulting role. That means whenever there is a gap in the understanding of the development team, they will come back to you to ask you questions. And finally, at the testing stage, before it is given back to them,